So you have multiple different materials which used to take place with these weather vanes. That's what they were called. The
Right.
old weather vanes or
Yeah.
lightning rods, which is funny because if you think about it, a lot of these buildings had thousands of lightning rods on top of them. And if you think of if you were trying to protect yourself from lightning with wooden roofs, you would think, why would you put a conductive material which
Yeah.
could bring the lightning to you? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And if you look at the old weather vanes, 1893, they were all made out of copper. And you see they're just beautiful designs of copper, and then you see a little brass, and you see some gold and silver, and then mercury as well, which we'll touch on. But with all of these antennas, they're tapping into Herman Clausen. Herman Clausen had patents for atmospheric energy. He would send balloons up into the sky that were made out of tin, and he would notice that he would get all this voltage, free electricity. And he said, why don't we use this? Because helium is practically free, and helium can be used with radium and all of these things. But he said, why don't we do this? We just send a balloon up, you got voltage, you got power for your house. Now, if you think of all these antennas, if you connected them to a battery, an earth battery, the earth battery would charge the entire time, the copper would run up to the antenna, and you would be able to...
The Earth is way bigger than you think. It's true. This theory states that while the Earth does have 7 continents, Antarctica is just a giant ice wall that keeps us from seeing beyond the borders of the world. Some say that behind Antarctica, there exist prehistoric animals, advanced civilizations, or even extraterrestrial beings. This theory gets even crazier, though. Some people suggest that the 7 continents that we live in are actually part of a giant farm that is owned by a select few wealthy and mysterious families that manipulate our world behind the scenes. This is called the plantation theory. There is also vast evidence that supports this theory, like the signing of a treaty by all major countries in 1878 that says going into Antarctica is forbidden without government approval. Coincidence? I think not.
About how 3 little cute ships came over to America and started the New World. That's what they said. In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And all of a sudden, these 3 little ships came over, even though there are already castles and all these buildings already in America. But it's just funny because that's the story that we've been told. The other funny part about Christopher Columbus is that where are the ships? I would love to see them. Where are they? How come none of the museums have any of the ships of the infamous Christopher Columbus that we know of? That's the question we should ask today. We should ask, where are those 3 little cute ships that sailed over the ocean blue and allegedly started the New World? And that's why when we get into history, we realize history is a complete... Meanwhile, when we look at pictures of the old world, we talk all about how and see how these buildings were made out of granite and all these limestone and travertine and all these different things. And you start to see that it doesn't really make sense for the cute little ships that they told us about.
Scientists now think we are the aliens. It's true. There's a theory that Mars is the place that human life began. This is because the rover on Mars has been picking up an element called xenon all across the surface. What's scary about this is that xenon is the same element that was discovered around Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and other nuclear testing sites. But the problem is, this element has never been found anywhere where there hasn't been a nuclear explosion. This leads many to believe that there was a nuclear war on Mars thousands of years ago that made it uninhabitable, and that only a few rich and powerful families could escape. This might explain why there are such beautiful and unexplainable structures across the world, like the pyramids in Egypt. What do you think?
There's something hidden at the bottom of the Grand Canyon that the highest authorities don't want you to discover, and its existence remains unknown. In the 1850s, the Grand Canyon was exploited for gold extraction. When exploration began, the gold supply drastically increased, causing gold values to plummet. It was quickly closed off and declared a sanctuary to prevent further access and exploitation of the abundant gold. However, an explorer named Seth Tanner ventured into a cave within the Grand Canyon and reported seeing ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs inside one of these caves. This theory posits that the Grand Canyon houses the mythical city of El Dorado, the city of gold that remains undiscovered. The theory asserts that it is precisely located at the bottom of the canyon's caves. The reason why those in power that would keep this a secret is that revealing it would destabilize the gold market.
What's about Denver Airport?
Oh man, so Denver Airport, there's a really strange theory about its construction. Denver already had a perfectly good airport downtown, but they still chose to spend $2 billion more than planned and took 2 extra years to complete it. So the airport has a huge 5-story underground area. Some people believe it's a doomsday shelter for powerful people. However, officials say it's just an unused baggage area.
Yes. What?
Throughout the airport, there are eerie paintings that depict destruction and apocalyptic scenes with monsters. Also, there's a large blue horse statue with glowing red eyes called Lucifer. Sadly, the artist died when a piece of the statue fell on him during its construction, but they finished it anyway. Another weird fact is that the airport is said to have 2 secret runways the government uses. The story also includes a time capsule buried in 1994 that can't be opened until 2094. So maybe that's the key to all these mysteries.
Noah's Ark has finally been found. It's true. Skeptics argue that it is impossible for such a huge structure to simply disappear and that a worldwide flood did not happen. Recently, researchers exploring Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey may have discovered physical evidence supporting the Ark's existence. Explorers discover a massive man-made structure embedded within the mountainside, measuring 15 feet in length, the exact length of the Ark. Intrigued scientists began to study the object, and what they found will surprise you. Inside the ship, there were mysterious inscriptions and engravings in ancient Hebrew, which scientists think point to celestial beings that control Earth. So what do you think? Is the story of Noah's Ark true?
Now, this is intriguing. I'm not sure if it's true, but there's a theory circulating, somewhat of a religious theory. So I watched a TikTok video where a preacher was speaking, and he presented a fascinating idea. What if God is actually water? Think about that.
What if water is God?
Then that would mean God is both in us and all around us. That God is both above and below us. Why a woman's water breaks when we're born.
But there's more. We often say that God is everything. Well, if that's the case, then everything around us would also be water. Water is in the air, even though it's invisible. Water is inside you, inside me, and in every living creature. Now, think about places where water is scarce, like deserts or barren lands. What is commonly found there? Death, due to the absence of water, right? And those places are scorching, almost like hell. Here's another thought. In the Bible, when Jesus was tempted by the devil, where was he? In the desert, presumably seeking water.
The phantom time hypothesis posits a chilling idea. History, as we know it, has been manipulated, and nearly 300 years of history may have been fabricated. Proposed by historians, this theory suggests that the years between 614 and 911 AD were completely invented, a grand conspiracy to alter our understanding of time and events. This hypothesis claims that the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, in conjunction with Pope Sylvester II, fabricated this timeline to legitimize their rule and glorify the early medieval period. Imagine a world where significant events such as the rise of empires or religious movements are mere illusions. The implications are staggering. What about the historical figures we've learned about? Were they real or mere characters in a fabricated narrative? This theory raises questions about our understanding of history and the very nature of time itself. If the past can be rewritten, what else is being hidden from us? The shadows of our history loom large, and the quest for truth becomes a haunting journey into the unknown. The phantom time hypothesis forces us to confront the possibility that our reality is a mere construct, obscured by a deep-seated conspiracy. Press follow for more.
With the elites being aware of it. Supposedly, these hidden underground cities hold futuristic technologies and cities that could be far more advanced than our civilizations right now. This actually might be true, though, because scientists from NASA have recently discovered large movement beneath the Earth's crust. John Campbell is one of these scientists and says that around 500 miles below the surface, a large supply of water has been found stored in a rock named ringwoodite. Scientists say that this rock is so huge that it could possibly contain more than 3 times the amount of water on the Earth's surface. Could this possibly indicate that there might be more down in the middle of the Earth than we originally thought? And why many news sources and government agencies have been hiding this recent information? What do you think?
What if I told you there was an advanced civilization that ruled vast parts of the world, but it's been erased from history? I'm talking about the Tartarian Empire. According to the theory, this civilization called Tartaria was technologically advanced with structures far beyond what we think was possible in the 18th and 19th centuries. Believers claimed that the world's elite erased Tartaria from history to hide its innovations. Look at these maps from the 1600s and 1700s. Tartaria is right there in Central Asia, but modern textbooks barely mention it. You know those grand Greco-Roman style buildings? According to Tartarian theorists, these aren't just old buildings. They're remnants of Tartarian architecture from a time when the empire spanned continents. Then there's the Great Reset theory. They believe a series of mud floods and disasters in the 19th century were actually orchestrated to bury Tartaria's advanced technology and achievements. These events, they say, wiped the empire off the map, literally. Of course, most historians say it's all a misunderstanding. They argue that Tartaria was just a generic term for unknown lands, and that the architecture was simply inspired by common styles of the time. But what if they're wrong? What if there's a hidden history we're not supposed to know? Could the Tartarian Empire really have been erased, or was it never there at all? Follow for more hidden history conspiracies.
When drinking out of copper, I just put water in here. I just keep it nice and simple. I have tested all different types of things. I've actually put pearl powder in here, and it gets very, very charged. It's a very fascinating experiment.
And so how do you know that? How does it get charged? How do you measure that?
So I've measured it by how I feel. It's pretty wild. You can't see everything. This goes into like the work of Valerie Hunt, Infinite Mind. She talks about the aura and the essence. We can't see everything that's going on in here, but certain things that you do place into copper will be enhanced by the copper. And I've seen this, and maybe that's because the absorption that's coming in or the copper is turning it on. Almost kind of like Ormus. Ormus can turn things on as well. So when you put a little pearl in here, it's very charged. You will be charged for the entire day. But I just put water in here for the most part. Every so often I'll throw some pearl. But when I clean it, I just keep a little linen, and I just wipe it down with some linen, and then I just use a little distilled water and just wipe it down. And that's pretty much the simple parts of copper. But when you go into, for example, areas of the Middle East, they do different coffees in copper, and all these different types of materials to have coffee. But you can have fun with it, try it out. I always say go to a vintage store or a thrift store, find some old copper, like the original copper and things like that, because sometimes the new stuff isn't pure copper.
What if the ancient Book of Enoch was actually talking about Antarctica? The Book of Enoch talks about a place called the ends of the earth, a land of eternal darkness, where fallen angels are imprisoned beneath massive ice-covered mountains, a place where the sun never rises or sets for months at a time. Sound familiar? Just like the long, dark winters of Antarctica, right? And get this, Enoch describes a prison deep within this icy land where 7 stars, symbolic of the Watchers, fallen angels, are chained beneath the frozen abyss, waiting for judgment. But how did Enoch, writing thousands of years ago, know about a place that wasn't officially discovered until 1820? It gets even crazier. There's an ancient map from 1513 called the Piri Reis map that shows parts of Antarctica's coastline without ice. Scientists have confirmed that the last time Antarctica's coast was ice-free was over 6,000 years ago. Some people think that there was a lost civilization there, maybe even one that predates humanity as we know it, destroyed and buried under ice when the climate changed. Could this be what Enoch was talking about? And don't even get me started on the Chilean expedition in 1947. They claim to have found artificial stone structures buried deep under the Antarctic ice, structures that didn't match any known human architecture. So, Was Enoch actually talking about a lost world in Antarctica? A prison of fallen angels buried beneath miles of ice? Or could it be something even more sinister? This could be the reason why every government has agreed to keep people out. They tell us it's to protect the environment, but what if they're hiding something? Might be one of history's best kept secrets, and we're only just beginning to uncover it. Like, follow, and share if you want more hidden history and mysterious stories. Let's dig deeper into the unknown together.
Nikola Tesla was a time traveler. It's true. This theory states that Tesla was openly obsessed with the idea of time travel. In fact, he worked on a time machine project throughout his career, and many believe that he succeeded. Some say that Tesla could see the past, present, and future of an object at the same time. Tesla also experimented with magnetic waves, which some say that the radiation from these waves could have put him in a completely different space-time window. However, this experimentation hurt him badly, which led many to claim that he was hallucinating. This theory gets even crazier, though. After his death, all of his notes and research were taken away by the FBI and supposedly disappeared shortly after. Coincidence? I think not.